Happy Wednesday morning, everybody. Welcome into another great day of Morning JOX here on JOX 94.5. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you as we are each and every morning. Appreciate you spending a little part of your day with us here on Morning JOX. We've got a big day here in Birmingham. Know a lot of you hopefully going to be able to get out to Rickwood Field today as the Birmingham Barons will be taking on the Trash Pandas there at Rickwood Field today around lunchtime. So I know a lot of people are excited to get out there. And you have the Barons game today. You have the East-West All-Star game coming up in a couple of weeks. So some opportunities to get out there and enjoy some baseball. And especially if you looked at the weather, maybe going to have some rain coming through. So this is kind of maybe a good opportunity to get outside and enjoy some sunshine before that goes away for the weekend. I thought it was going to be dry for a while, Damian. That's what everyone was saying after all the rain we got, and now more rain.
Yeah, enjoy the sunshine while we have it. That's the thing about the summertime. You kind of just you never really know. You never really know. A pop-up shower here and there, and it's like, wait a minute, it's 95 degrees, and then 10 minutes later, the clouds are gray, and it's like, okay, well, this wasn't part of the plan, but we welcome to weather in Alabama.
Yeah, no, I feel like the weatherman on Family Guy right now. It's gonna rain. Thanks, Ollie. Yeah, it is gonna rain. But yeah, so it should be dry for a good part of today though. So that's a good event you can get out to there in Rickwood, there downtown Birmingham, if you want to get out and enjoy some baseball, because that has been the hot topic here recently with the Super Regionals getting set for the men's side of the College World Series here recently. You have the Women's College World Series Championship, the finals that are getting underway tonight at 7 o'clock on ESPN as Texas and Texas Tech will do battle, and the SEC will look home to bring home another championship this season. But we will start in baseball, and not because of anything going on with the Super Regionals necessarily, but you did get some news late last night. If you are, you got to start getting used to this if you're an Alabama fan, because I guess Yay Alabama, they like to do their news dumps late at night because we got that with LeBaron Philon last week when he announced that he was going to come back and withdraw from the NBA draft. You got that news around 10:30. About the same time last night, you found out that Alabama had signed a contract extension with head baseball coach Rob Vaughn. So he just finished his second season there at Alabama. He's 74-42 overall the last couple of years. Granted, you did just come off a disappointing postseason run where Alabama got swept there in the Southern Miss Regional, and now they find themselves kickstarting their offseason. But Rob Vaughn, a guy whose name had been mentioned in some of these coaching vacancies that came up, I have to wonder if Virginia, with Mississippi State hiring the Virginia coach away, if maybe that's because, I mean, remember, he came from Maryland, so maybe the belief that if he wanted to go back to that area of the country, that Virginia would be an attractive option for him. So they decided, hey, let's go ahead and get you signed up. Not sure what the exact details are of the extension yet. Those were not made public last night, but we do know that he's gotten an extension. So interested to see how people feel about that, because I know I just know a number of Alabama people that I've talked to or I've heard from in the last few days of, yeah, the regular season was fun. It was great, but it's still same old with Alabama baseball and just not finding that success in the postseason. I think Rob Vaughn's done a great job, but I know, I mean, look, we had people that wanted Patrick Murphy gone, a week or two ago. So I think there's probably some people out there that were maybe hoping to go in a different direction or maybe at least start that conversation, but doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
No, and again, when you look at the success that you had, yeah, it was a little bit disappointing in how it finished. But now it's the conversation of, hey, think about why he is the head coach and what he had to do to take over in this situation from your previous coach in situations like that. So I think for Alabama fans, it's just flow with the consistency. Like, if one thing that you've realized, he can win, and it just takes it's a building thing. It's a rebuilding thing. And if you're rebuilding from, second base, third base, like, okay, we can figure this thing out in the backstretch. But he's worth every penny. And I think the future is going to be bright for Alabama baseball.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that, Damian. And part of this that came out with the contract extension is we had talked about it yesterday, but if you missed the news from Friday, Texas A&M, they decided that they were going to stick with Michael Early who was their coach that took over after Schlossnagle left for Texas this past offseason. Early came in, and as we know, Texas A&M, not to kick them while they're down, but Texas A&M was the number one team in the preseason, didn't make the postseason, so a lot of people expected they were going to make a move, and apparently Rob Vaughn was one of the hot names behind the scenes there for Texas A&M. So that paired with, again, like I brought up, maybe the Virginia job opening played a part in it as well, but you could see kind of reminds me, again, of what you saw with NATO's a couple years back, and you're probably going to see again in the future of, okay, well, there's these rumors out there. Oh, Kentucky might be looking for a new coach. Maybe we should just go ahead. We like the guy we got. Maybe we just go ahead and sweeten the pot for him a little bit and get him to stick around. So that's what Greg Byrne did yesterday with announcing the contract extension of Rob Vaughn there in Tuscaloosa. You did have some interesting, again, so somebody gets a contract extension, then we have another situation where somebody can't even get the first contract that they thought they were going to get, because this was kind of a bizarre situation if you saw what was going on. So we reported on this a couple of weeks ago, again, this is not normally the route that we go, but it's just such a bizarre situation involving Florida. And so they were going to hire a new president for the University of Florida, and it was going to be Santa Ono, who was the president of the University of Michigan. So he had left his job at Michigan. He's already left. He's already moved, like sold his house, moved everything. He's going to be the next guy at Florida, right? That's the way that it works out. Well, apparently yesterday, Santa Ono was rejected in his bid to be the next president of the University of Florida by the school's Board of Governors. So the Board of Governors voted 6 for yes, 10 for no about the hiring of Santa Ono. And apparently, I did not know this. I hadn't heard about all of this, so I had to do a little bit of a deep dive last night. But apparently, a lot of this has to go back to some of the policies that he enacted at Michigan. Apparently, there were a number of, I guess, protests that maybe weren't super peaceful that were led on campus that got some people that people were not very happy about. Apparently, there's some diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives that he spearheaded there at Michigan that did not end up working out very well for the university. And so there's just a number, again, not getting super deep into the weeds. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know all the politics around this stuff, but just a bizarre situation where Florida had announced that this was going to be the guy. He left his job at Michigan. I mean, everything was done except for the Board of Governors, and I assumed they thought there would be no resistance there, and now there has been. So now Florida's looking for a new president. So this is an interesting situation, and, you hate it for him, I guess, in the sense that he quit his job, and now I don't know how that works, if it's like getting back out of the transfer portal and you just say, hey, I actually never wanted to leave. Sorry, Michigan, I'm coming right back, or what this means for him. But yeah, just a bizarre situation going on down there in Gainesville, but they are now going to be looking for a new president after they rejected the hiring of one Santa Ono, who had been the president at the University of Michigan. All right, also going on last night, you had the Atlanta Braves as they were getting back into action. Damian, I know everyone here is so excited to watch their Atlanta Braves each and every night because they totally aren't checked out on the season already here in the beginning of June. But if you missed the game last night, well, you're probably better off, let's be completely honest, because the Diamondbacks took care of the Braves 8-3 last night. Zach Gallen, masterful for the Diamondbacks. He goes 7 innings, only gives up 1 earned run, 4 hits last night to the Atlanta Braves. You had Spencer Strider back on the bump. Didn't go particularly well for him. He goes 5 innings, gives up 6 hits, 5 earned runs, walks a couple, and only strikes out 4. So he is now up to a 5.68 ERA on the season. Certainly not going the way that you would hope since he returned from his elbow injury. And, of course, now with what happened with A.J. Smith-Shawver, you really need Strider to kind of step up and be the guy that you expect him to be up there at the top of your rotation with Chris Sale. But, yeah, not a good night for him last night. Ketel Marte hits a pair of home runs. Corbin Carroll hits a pair of home runs. And that was all she wrote. Not a lot of offense to speak for last night. So Arizona, they win 8-3. Next game of the series coming up tonight. You can hear it here on JOX 94.5. First pitch at 6:15, as Chris Sale will be on the bump for the Braves tonight. So hopefully able to get them turned around a little bit. But you're now 27-32 on the season. So again, if you remember, you started off 0-7. So since then, you are still playing over 500 baseball. It's just unfortunate that you really, really kind of put yourself in a hole there with the way that you started the season. But unfortunately, 10 games back in the National League East, still in fourth place there behind the Nationals, Phillies, and then the Mets sitting there at the top. The good news was, though, the Mets got walked off last night. If you watched that, Freddie Freeman actually helped you out, Braves fans.
Ah,
So kind of funny how that.
still helping you.
Yeah,
He's
kind of
still helping you out.
kind of funny how you can't take the Braves out of him. That's what I always say. But yeah, Atlanta 5.5 back in the wild card as well. So little ways to go. Your Reds only 4 games back in the wild card.
Hey, listen, we're hovering around,
You're in play.
average to a little bit below average, but you know, Ella De La Cruz usually heats up right after the All-Star break. So we'll get through this month of June, in a couple weeks in July, and then you'll really see the turn for the Reds.
Okay,
We're patient.
I'll take your word for it.
Appreciate it.
I will take your word for it. Yeah, so quickly, if you just want an update of what's going on around Major League Baseball, your quick snapshot of things here on the morning of June 4th. You have the Yankees in first in the National League East. They have a 6.5 game lead in their division, which is the largest lead anybody has in any division right now. Then you have the Tigers in the Central. They're 40-22. They have the best record in Major League Baseball right now, and they are 6 games up on the Twins. You have the Astros. They're in first place now, half a game up on the Mariners in the American League West. As I said, the Mets leading the National League East. They're half a game up on Philadelphia. You have the Cubs in the Central at 38-22. 5-game lead there for them, and then the Dodgers with the 1-game lead in the National League West as it stands right now. So that's your snapshot of the Major League Baseball season. So enough baseball. Let's get to college football. So there was some audio that went viral the last couple of days from a particular wide receiver at the University of Alabama, and it made me I have some questions. It made me think about some things with Alabama for the upcoming season. You also got a response to what this Alabama wide receiver said from somebody that we are very familiar with here in the state of Alabama, and not for reasons that many of us would like to admit or acknowledge. It's a lot of things that we would probably like to, just pretend never happened. But we have to get into that. What did the Alabama wide receiver say? Who was the Alabama wide receiver, and what was the response? We'll get to all of that here on the other side. Also want to take a look at some Heisman odds for the upcoming season, some interesting numbers to get into there. So let's get into some college football here on the other side. You're listening to Morning JOX and JOX 94.5. 6:17. Welcome back in. Morning JOX here on your Wednesday morning. Conrad and Damian here with you. Appreciate you tuning us in on JOX 94.5. Again, if you just now joining us, you do have the Barons taking on the Trash Pandas at Rickwood Field today at 12:30. Tickets are still available, so if you are looking for somewhere to, I don't know, take an extended lunch break, go watch some baseball there at Rickwood, or if you're already looking for something, hey, the kids are home now from school. What's something we can do? Get them outside, something fun that they can go and do that's not going to break the bank. Go take them to Rickwood Field as the Barons will take on the Trash Pandas coming up at 12:30 today. All right, I got to thinking last night, and we're going to play this audio for you here in just a minute. But recently, a couple of Alabama wide receivers were hanging out with John Gruden down in Tampa because everybody's hanging out with John Gruden nowadays. I will sidebar quickly. Him going to Barstool, I didn't know how that whole thing was going to work out. I'm a fan of it.
It's been a home run.
It has been an absolute home run, and even watching, if you ever see where he will try to coach up some of the employees there on the whiteboard and just watching them kind of sitting there and being befuddled at what they're watching right before. The content is incredible.
It is. And you want to talk about somebody that's like done a good job of kind of resurrecting his career.
Oh, yeah.
And you talk about like I guess you say like the PR. This could have ended a lot worse than what it could have been. And just to kind of see him just be as jovial as he is, and that's the thing about Gruden. It's not. Yes, he's had his issues, but he's always kind of seemed like a pretty fun guy. Like he doesn't mind being in front of the camera, doesn't mind being the butt of a joke, doesn't mind having fun. Now again, like it's a stain on him.
Yes.
But ever since then, he's done nothing but kind of just be himself and just he's taking ownership of everything that happened. But moving forward, he's done a good job of kind of just resurrecting everything that happened.
Yeah, and he's just the kind of guy that, I don't know, he just kind of takes over a room, right? When he goes in there and when John Gruden talks, I want to hear what he has to say. So, but he's been putting out all this content. He's been doing a lot of, he brought back the quarterback camp stuff ahead of the draft, which I was a big fan of. And now he's just, he just runs into people, right? He just has things set up for him through Barstool and through his connections, and he puts out all this content. And so recently, Ryan Williams and Isaiah Horton from Alabama were down there visiting with John Gruden. And so there's the whole video out there, but there's one particular clip from it that's kind of gotten some traction over the last couple of days. And it has gotten a response now from somebody. So we're going to play this audio for you quickly, and then I'll tell you who responded to it. So this is Ryan Williams with John Gruden talking about one particular team and maybe some revenge on the mind of Alabama Crimson Tide this year. We're gonna kill an ant with a sledgehammer. If you
Loves
missed
mentality.
That was Ryan Williams again talking with John Gruden about Vanderbilt and just kind of what happened last year and looking to right that wrong this year for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So of course once things like this start to gain traction in today's day and age, somebody's going to respond somewhere. And unsurprisingly, now I will say, song choice. You got to respect it a little bit. So Diego Pavia, of course, the quarterback of the Vanderbilt Commodores and the bane of many Alabamians' existence in the last 12 months, he went on Instagram, and so he took I guess, a post that had repeated the quote from Ryan Williams and had a picture of Ryan Williams on it. So Diego Pavia goes and he quote tweets it or whatever, reposts it on his Instagram story with Gucci Mane lyrics and the 100 emoji. So essentially, I guess we can translate that to people. It's essentially like bring on the smoke. Like, all right, we hear you. It is what it is. But the lyrics that he posted say, they acting like they tough, but they don't want no confrontation. So we got a little bit of a beef between Diego Pavia and Ryan Williams now. Just a little bit of good sportsmanship there between Alabama and Vanderbilt. And so again, like it's a fun thing going back and forth. The comment from Ryan Williams is funny. I think Diego Pavia responding that way, like that's exactly what you would expect. That's the Diego Pavia that we have come to know and some people I guess love there at Vanderbilt. But it made me think about this question, Damian. And I want to get your thoughts as well as our listeners at 205-834-9450. I'm going to assume the obvious that if Alabama could avenge any of their losses from last year, the majority of people are going to pick Tennessee, right? And I think we understand why, and we get it, the rivalry, all that stuff. But my question is, between Oklahoma and Vanderbilt, which one of those would be more devastating to lose to back-to-back years? In the sense of, because for me, my first thought, and just my frustrations that will never go away, were Oklahoma because of how awful that game was and how awful that experience was, and you kind of want to wipe that stain away. Whereas the Vanderbilt game, defensively, yeah, it was a rough night, but it was a good football game that you just unfortunately didn't play your best in, and so you lost. Whereas the Oklahoma game, that wasn't a good football game. That was just a disgusting performance of, I don't even know what to. I don't even have words for it still, Damian. So it made me think. If you're an Alabama fan, would it be more difficult to lose to Oklahoma 2 years in a row or Vanderbilt 2 years in a row? And I really think it would be Vanderbilt. And it's a lot of it would have to go with not trying to be disrespectful, but there's a little bit of shame that kind of comes along with that loss.
Yeah, I think it's Vanderbilt 100%. And I actually think that would be the one that you want to avenge because at least Oklahoma, they're good. And they have a historical significance in college football where, yeah, you can stomach a loss to Oklahoma. It's like, hey, they got us those 2 years. I look at Tennessee the same way. It's a rivalry game. It happens. But Vanderbilt is one, and E. Robinson, if you listen, love you to death, big dog, but that ain't supposed to happen.
No.
It's just not supposed to happen. And really and truly, you can even look at it from the Auburn perspective, too. You can't lose to Vanderbilt anymore. And that's where it's, to me, if I'm an Alabama fan, you lose to Tennessee, so be it. Now, are they down this year? Yes. But that's one, like, all right, you get it. Oklahoma, yes. You see you got John Mateers winning the Heisman Trophy and Oklahoma competing for a college football playoff. So that's a quality team. But Vanderbilt, again, I hate to be disrespectful, but it's Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not supposed to be a discussion. It's not supposed to be something that, oh, man, we got to make sure, Cole has a story about one of his old coaches. He's like, this is the reason why we're beating Vanderbilt. He wrote down Auburn on one side. He wrote down Vanderbilt on the other. You're Auburn. They're Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to handle your business. And that's kind of where they've been. And again, no disrespect to Vanderbilt, but they're a program that is trying to build to get into the basement of where you are as a program. Like they're trying to get to
They'll put up a good fight and you go, hey, I respect, you are showing progress, but you don't lose to them.
You don't lose to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, you just beat them by, 14 instead of, 28.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the game is ugly, so be it, but you're supposed to be on the winning side of things. So I think that Vanderbilt loss is one of those I could see.
So you would even considering Tennessee, you would still say Vanderbilt.
I would still say Vanderbilt because you're not supposed to lose to Vanderbilt. And I would say that, if Kalen DeBoer ever had a game where you kind of look at the scoreboard and say, hey, coach, you ain't got to keep your starters out there anymore. I think that might be the game where it's like, let's go ahead and nip this in the bud and say, hey, congratulations to y'all in 2024. You caught us slipping. You had us in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, if it's 49-0 at halftime, it's Ty Simpson, you got one more drive left in you in the third quarter. We're not calling off the dogs.
I think that's an interesting perspective. Okay, well then, hey, let's throw Tennessee in the mix there then. So if you're an Alabama fan, and so for the loss, and we're not going to count Michigan because you wouldn't get to play them until the postseason anyways. So between Tennessee, Oklahoma, and Vanderbilt, which one of those losses do you want to avenge the most? Which one of those losses this upcoming season would you be the most devastated if Alabama lost to that team 2 years in a row? Vanderbilt is the direction Damian's going to go. I would be inclined to agree. I think a lot of people would still go Tennessee just because of the rivalry aspect and you don't want to lose to them in Bryant-Denny because I think that's the other part of the Tennessee one, right? is so
Yeah.
you've lost to him twice in the last 3 years, but you haven't lost to him in Bryant
Hmm.
Denny. And so if you do, then that's kind of a whole different conversation. So I think it's an interesting question. And we can even throw out the question for Auburn as well, because I think you would make, you kind of alluded to it, Damian, but I think, I mean, you look at, again, okay, yeah, losing to Alabama for 5 years in a row.
It
That
happens.
sucks. It is what it is. Like if you're an
Right.
Auburn fan, that sucks. But you can also see where your program has been versus Alabama, and you can kind of understand. Okay, yeah, not the biggest surprise in the world. Similar with Georgia, right? Like you've had some close calls, you've had your chances to win, but you're not going to beat yourself too much for losing those games. But you are going to beat yourself up if you lose to Diego Pavia for the third year in a row at New Mexico, then at Vanderbilt, and then at Vanderbilt again. If Auburn was playing Cal again this year, I do think they could be in consideration as well. But I think for Auburn, it probably is Vanderbilt. Maybe it's Arkansas. Maybe some people mad about that. I think you'd throw Oklahoma in there as well, but that's more so because of the way you lost that game.
Yep.
That's where that one would
Yep.
sting the most. So I think that's an interesting question for both Alabama and Auburn. Which loss from last season, regular season, do you want them to avenge the most this upcoming season? So 205-834-9450. We can continue that discussion on the other side, have some other college football news and notes to get to as well. You're listening to the Wednesday edition of Morning JOX right here on JOX 94.5.
Welcome on back to Morning JOX, JOX 94.5. Damian Mitchell, Conrad Van Order here with you to the top of the hour. Pass you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning. And Conrad, you brought up the question of which loss does Alabama want to avenge? And we've been getting some reaction on the JOX text line. The phone lines are open, 205-834-9450. So what is it looking like, Conrad?
Yeah, so we have some of you chiming in. We asked the question for Alabama, who would be, which win or which loss would you like to avenge the most? Which loss can you not suffer back-to-back years? Is it Tennessee, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt? Me and Damian kind of both going Vanderbilt in that direction. I think Tennessee would be maybe the initial thought for a lot of people. But I think Vanderbilt, when you really think about it, has a strong argument there. And similarly for Auburn, we asked the same question for Auburn. And part of it does go back to the New Mexico State loss, but it's, with Vanderbilt, it's, man, can you lose to Diego Pavia 3 years in a row if you're the Auburn Tigers? And based on the expectations for this season, similar to Alabama last year, is that one of those games that if you lose that and you look back and go, well, that was the difference in, Auburn going 8-4, 7-5, or 9-3 versus 8-4, and that's the game that kind of gets in the way of you meeting your goals and expectations for this season. So interesting conversation there. You keep weighing in 205-834-9450 on the text line because we're going to go to the phones first. Larry has been waiting patiently. Larry, how are we doing this morning?
Hey, good morning, guys. I always enjoy the show. I just want to throw a question or two at you, and both of your opinions, obviously. But last year, and obviously in the big dance of the finals, college football, everybody knows the Buckeyes won it. But who do you think gave Ohio State the best game? I'm trying to make a point.
Probably Texas, yeah. Texas.
That's my point. I know that Auburn's lost to, I can't even pronounce the guy's name, but they lost to him 2 years in a row when he was at New Mexico. But think about it. Texas didn't they lose by like 3 points in Nashville? Or no, they won by 3 points.
Vanderbilt almost beat Texas. It was a close game.
That's what I'm saying. And then of course Texas gave Ohio State a heck of a game in the semifinals or whatever. But I just wanted to throw that out there, guys, and I'm on the road every day. I love your show. Appreciate it, guys.
Appreciate you, Larry. I think the other thing that stings, too, with the Vanderbilt, because I understand the point I think Larry's trying to make of, well, I mean, it wasn't just Alabama. Like, they beat Alabama. They beat Auburn. They played Texas as close as anybody. But then you look at the fact that, again, transitive property, but they lost to Georgia State.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, so we lost to the team that lost to Georgia State. That's where people – I think that, and seriously, that one game, like if they hadn't lost that game, maybe it changes the narrative a little bit. But then you have to go back and look, and you look yourself in the mirror and go, man, we technically, there was a weekend where maybe Georgia State was better than us, just based on the transitive property. So that's a tough pill to swallow for some people. Yeah, it is. All right, let's go down to Tuscaloosa. Deacon wants to chime in this morning. How are we doing this morning, Deacon?
Doing good, fellas. How y'all doing?
Oh, can't complain, man. What you got for us?
Now, it's an interesting question. I could take Oklahoma again. I wouldn't want to, but I could take it. But y'all got to understand, fellas, I hate Tennessee with a pink and purple polka-dotted passion.
I know there's a lot of people that do.
I despise Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
However, Tennessee is historically a good football program. I just now climbed my way out of the hole I dug for myself when we lost that daggum game. And I don't want to go back in because I'm claustrophobic.
What happened when we lost to Oklahoma? Did you go back? Like, did the hole get deeper after that, or how did that work?
The way the game was played, I was playing with the devil's pitchfork. that game is one of the shoddiest football games I've ever watched an Alabama team play, and I've been a fan for almost 60 years. But losing to Vanderbilt again,
that hurts the ego.
Fellas, I was in the military a long time, and I wanted to come back nowhere but home because of Tuscaloosa's home. But if we lost to Vanderbilt again, I just might have to move to South Alabama or up north in the mountains somewhere and just hide because I am very vocal about my fandom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And my only saving grace, I have a brother-in-law who's a legacy Auburn fan. My two nephews are diehard Auburn fans. The only thing that saved my year was the fact that Pavia beat them too. So now we're on an even keel.
Yeah.
but we're buried side by side with headstones prepared in case it happens again. I can't take it, fellas. I just can't take
Hey,
it.
well, let me ask you real quick before you run, Deacon. So, if Alabama were to lose to Vanderbilt again this year, are you done with DeBoer at that point? Is that the final nail in the coffin of, okay, we can't have this guy if we're losing multiple times to Vandy?
No, I'm not a smart enough man to answer that question. It hurts bad enough that Alabama has a coach that's younger than me for the first time in my life. That when they hired Kalen DeBoer, it hurt my heart, it hurt my soul, and it made me feel closer to the grave. But I'll just tell you, if he loses to Vanderbilt again, I will put his butt on the Mike Francione bus right out at 20. I can't take it. Go back to Seattle, but I don't think it's going to happen. It's one of those things. I remember App State beating Michigan in the Big House.
Oh yeah.
These things happen, but they don't happen twice. If they happen twice, you're going to see obituaries all over the state from people that my age that just have massive coronaries. The Widowmaker is going to hit when the clock strikes 0. And I'm just going to be like, Jesus, take me. I can't take no more of it. I took Biden for 4 years, but I just can't take Vanderbilt twice.
Oh, Deacon, thank you so much. Great call this morning, man. That was awesome. That
man, he was in a dark place.
I was about to say, man, like I thought I went to some dark places sometimes, but it's all right, Deacon. We're gonna get through it together.
Brighter days are ahead, brother.
I sure hope so. Otherwise, we may not hear from Deacon again. But I hope that's certainly not the last time you call in. That was a great call this morning, Deacon. So, all right, quickly, let's go to the text line. We're gonna have to get to a break in a minute, but we'll go to a couple of your texts here quickly. And Vanderbilt seems to be a popular pick, at least for Alabama. So someone chimes in, they go, Vandy, man, it cannot happen again, in all caps. It cannot happen again. And I think that's, again, a lot of it, we're not trying to be disrespectful towards Vanderbilt at all, but from an ego standpoint, I think that's the one that hurts the most. That is and that's why I think it bothers people, is because it's the one that's embarrassing. Yeah. The other ones, maybe the performance was embarrassing, but you can look at the jersey and go, they got some good dudes over there. Not saying Vanderbilt doesn't have some good dudes, but again,
there's levels to this, man.
Yes. All right, Bobby, he chimes in. He says, it's wild how the quote about blowing up for Alabama is about them getting revenge on It's wild how the quote blowing up for Alabama is about them getting revenge on Vanderbilt. How the mighty have fallen. Do the Alabama fans miss Nick Saban yet?
Oh.
I do, yeah.
That's good. It's okay.
I like Kalen DeBoer, but yeah, Nick was one of a kind. Let's see. Somebody said, remember when that Vandy player said Alabama is next a couple years ago, then got torched by Tua and the guys? Yeah, Alabama, you're next.
I do remember that. That's why I said you cannot lose to Vanderbilt.
We had a couple people nominate him for the Vanderbilt Mount Rushmore when we did that a couple weeks ago.
Alabama, you're next.
Yeah. Dan, he chimes in. He's short and sweet. If Alabama loses to Vanderbilt again, it's over for DeBoer.
no matter what happens.
And I think there's a lot of people that feel that way.
That's wild.
Like,
so imagine
that would
you
be
win the national championship, but you only had one loss on your record, and it came to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, it can't be Vanderbilt. Lose to somebody else.
That's wild.
You have 11 other candidates. Lose to someone else. Not Vanderbilt twice. All right, keep them coming. 205-834-9450. Which loss for Alabama and for Auburn do you have to avenge this upcoming year? Which team can you can't stomach the thought of losing to them yet again in 2025? Is it Vanderbilt? Is it Oklahoma? Is it Tennessee? Is it someone else for Auburn? We'll get to more of your reaction on the other side. Quick break for us, and we're right back here on JOX 94.5. 6:46 here on Morning JOX. Conrad and Damien with you until 7 o'clock. We'll hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning. Appreciate you joining us here on JOX 94.5. So having an interesting discussion this morning involving Alabama and Auburn and avenging losses for the upcoming season. So we asked the question, we started with Alabama. Who can you absolutely not stomach losing to 2 years in a row? Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma. Then we asked the same question for Auburn, and you all have chimed in. A lot of you have chimed in on the Courtesy GMC text line at 205-834-9450. Still some time to get your 2 cents in if you would like, and that is where we head right now to get more of your reaction. So we have Cliff. He chimes in. He just adds this note. He goes, Vanderbilt has a winning record all time against Auburn.
Oh. Ouch.
Mm-hmm. Granted, I mean, more from back in the day. But, yeah, I mean,
Hey.
it's still, it's
Win's a win.
It's a, let's see. Hang on. I think it was, there was someone else that they had an all-time record with, and you looked at it and you went, really? That's it for Vanderbilt? Okay, here it is. Vanderbilt is 8-3-1 in their history against Texas.
Yeah, that's what it
I was like, I knew there was one where you were like, really? That's who it
Hey.
is? And it's Texas. And so they also have a winning record
They built different up there, man.
against Auburn.
Anchor down.
Absolutely built different. Let's see. Alan, he chimes in. He goes, which loss do I want to avenge more is the Tennessee game because of how the Tennessee fans like Damien were after the loss. Which loss? I added the and Damien. He says, which loss is more devastating and I cannot handle 2 years in a row is the Vanderbilt loss because like Damien said, that one was actually in there. You just don't lose to Vanderbilt, especially when you're the number 1 ranked team in the nation and you're flipping Bama.
Yeah, y'all were. I mean, we were number 1 in the nation at that time.
No. We're not doing that.
Why not?
Not doing that this morning. You can say that with the Titans. Antoine, he chimes in. He goes, it's Vanderbilt all day. They need to cover this year and last year's spread put together. Roll damn Tide.
He wants to see blood. He wants to, hey, we getting it back in blood.
And that's what you say. I mean, you're like, yeah, if there's a game this year that you look at and you're like.
Sleeves off of them, man. You got to.
You got to send a message.
We don't need no last second field goal. You need to avenge everything.
No, what was it? Was it 59-0 after the Alabama your next game? Yeah, that's
double it up.
get to triple digits. All right, Lewis, he chimes in. He goes, props to Clark Lee, Diego Pavia, and Vandy for being on the minds of coaches this summer for more than 2 seconds. That's a great point, Lewis.
That is a great point.
He adds, Alabama can't lose to Vanderbilt again, beat everybody. Let's see. Sounds like we are trending back towards nameless opponent and joyless murder ball. I hope that becomes the norm and we forget whatever last year's anomaly was.
There we go. Clean slate.
Like it, Lewis. Richard from Hoover, he chimes in. He goes, it's got to be Tennessee for Alabama. Vandy and Oklahoma are irrelevant, but the hate for Tennessee is forever.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, yeah, you keep that hate in your heart for sure. Like, I'm a certified hater, but wouldn't say they're irrelevant. Oklahoma, at least. I wouldn't say they're irrelevant. Now,
No.
Vanderbilt, yeah, you can have your discussions.
Somebody chiming in from the state of Arkansas, they say, oh, Diego Pavia, you mean the 12th year senior? It does feel that way at times. And they add all of them for Alabama. You can't lose to any of them 2 years in a row.
There we go.
I like where your head's at. All right, Eric in Adamsville chimes in. He says, it's definitely Vanderbilt for Alabama. I still believe in DeBoer, but if we lose to Vanderbilt again, then I think that means we made a mistake. Things happen every once in a while. A puncher throws that lucky knockout punch, but if we lose to them twice, then that means the job might be too big for DeBoer.
Okay. Hey, man's out here getting out-coached by Clark Lee.
I'm sorry, Coach. I didn't mean for this to turn into. I was just trying to have a fun conversation. I didn't know this was going to turn into the.
Now he's saying, get him out of here.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I know. Hey, I got mad at him last week. I understand. You know, it happens to the best of us. Jamari from Talladega chimes in. He goes, I need both Vanderbilt and Oklahoma to be putting in the backups by halftime for them to get some playing time in because we have already put the game away by then. I'm talking 59-0.
That's the mindset you got to have.
Yep. Don't know if you're going to do that against Oklahoma, but
if you do, hey, DeBoer's keeping his job.
Yeah, and that's probably a game that this year, I mean, I would think that would probably look pretty nice on a resume compared to last year where
Yes, sir.
it wouldn't have really done a whole lot to win that game, but it certainly hurt you a whole lot to lose it. Fanboy, he chimes in. He goes, it depends because by the time Vanderbilt gets to Alabama, they will probably have 4 losses already, but I'm going to say Oklahoma. All right, so Fanboy, the first one to say Oklahoma, the team that he can't stand Alabama to lose to 2 years in a row. Let's see. Lisa, she chimes in. She goes, Bama needs to whoop the out of Peepaw Pavia and send him into retirement.
Wait a minute, Lisa. It's early. It's early in the morning.
Peepaw Pavia. I like that.
Calm down.
I like that.
Stop all that cussing.
Let's see. Jason chimes in. He says, love you guys, but y'all keep bringing up Georgia State like Northern Illinois didn't happen. Well, I mean, we're not talking about Notre Dame, but yes, that was hilarious.
Yeah. But they ended up playing for
a national
championship.
Correct. Let's see. Joseph chimes in. Vanderbilt for Alabama and for Auburn. Most Auburn fans would say Alabama or Georgia. He said, actually, I forgot Vanderbilt beat Auburn, so I'd say them for Auburn too. Yeah, and again, for Auburn, it's the 3 years in a row. Like, you want to beat this guy at some point in his college career, right? And I mean, that applies to Alabama somewhat as well. Let's see. We have Kelly. She chimes in. She just says, Vanderbilt, just no. That's it. Vanderbilt, just no. Yeah, I got it. Let's see. Drake chimes in about the Florida situation because he's a big Gators fan. He says, is this the first time a university has ever blocked a soon-to-be president? I'm sure it's not the first time, but I haven't ever heard of it happening, but I'm sure it's happened before. It's definitely interesting. All right, Jamie and Alex City chimes in. They say, Alabama will avenge every loss from last season, but they will suffer a loss from a close win from last season. Are you alluding to the Georgia game, perhaps? As a game that I'm trying to think. There were a lot of games that weren't particularly close.
Like the wins were pretty big.
Yeah, but that one was certainly a close one. And I think, again, that's one you don't want to lose to Georgia, but on the road you can maybe stomach that one a little more than others.
South Carolina.
Oh, South Carolina. Okay, that's another good one. That one is also going to be on the road. Let's see. We have someone else chiming in. They say, I know we didn't play them last year and we beat them. I know we didn't play them. Okay, I'm confused. They say Florida State would be awful to lose to for the first game, but I know we didn't play them last year. Yeah, that would be bad. You did beat them last time you played them. And
you beat them on, man.
And you beat them 2 years ago because you got in the playoff when they didn't. Let's see. Casey chimes in. As an Alabama fan, it's Vanderbilt for me. Almost drank myself to an early grave after that game.
Understandable.
Yeah, Brandon chimes in. Auburn needs to win every non-conference game just to avenge that home loss to Cal. If Freeze drops any non-con games, get an interim coach in there now.
Get him out of there.
These
coaches got to lose their job after a loss, man.
Let's see. Bobby says, so if Alabama loses to Vanderbilt again, do they start calling him Papa Pavia or Daddy Diego? Some good options there. I like that. All right, appreciate all of you chiming in. Tomorrow, we're going to take a look, get Damian's thoughts, the resident wide receiver, the best wide receiver rooms in the SEC. But McElroy and Kublik in the morning, they're up next.